You know, some of the most familiar stories in the Bible are the ones we think we know inside and out. But what if there's a hidden symbolic language woven right into them? Today, we're going to peel back some of those layers, look right past the surface, and find a meaning that might just change how you see, well, everything.
So let's jump right in with Adam and Eve. We all know the story, right? They're in the garden, they sin, and then God gives them garments of skin. And for centuries we've thought, oh, that's a nice, caring gesture to cover their newfound shame. But what if it's not that simple? What if that gift was also something else entirely?
And this leads us to what you could call the paradox of skin. See, on the surface, the story is pretty straightforward. But there's a single word, just one word in the original Hebrew, that unlocks a much deeper and, honestly, a much more challenging meaning.
Okay, so in the Hebrew text, the word for these garments is or. It means exactly what you think it means: skin, hide, leather. A totally normal physical covering. But the real secret isn't in the definition. It's hidden in how the word sounds. And this is where it gets really interesting. That word for skin, or, sounds almost identical to another Hebrew word, awar, which means to be blind. It's a pun, a wordplay right there in the text. This is a massive clue that being clothed in skin wasn't just a physical act. It was a symbol for being covered in a kind of spiritual blindness.
So if this garment of skin also means we're in a state of blindness, what does that actually feel like? Well, it leads to the state of being covered, blind, and numb. Being covered like this is, well, it's profound. It's not just about not seeing spiritual reality, it's about not being able to feel it. The sources we're looking at compare it to a kind of spiritual leprosy, where the main symptom is numbness. You're totally responsive to the physical world, right? What looks good, what tastes good, what feels good, but you're numb to God, completely insulated inside this protective shell of skin.
And here is a thought that is really challenging. This spiritual blindness, it's not presented as some random accident. It's actually shown as part of a divine plan for a certain period of time. I mean, God himself asks in Exodus, "Who has made them blind? Is it not I, the Lord?" This suggests that covering was put there on purpose, maybe as a kind of protection during a time of spiritual immaturity.
Okay, so if humanity is left in this covered, blind, and numb state, how is a connection with God even possible? This takes us from the problem to the solution. There is an appointed meeting place.
It turns out divine encounters aren't just random happy accidents. They happen at a moed. That's the Hebrew word for a divinely appointed time and a divinely appointed place. This isn't a casual drop-in. It's a scheduled, designated meeting. And guess what? This same word is used for all the religious feasts and for the tabernacle itself, which was literally called the tent of meeting.
The tabernacle itself gives us a symbolic map for how to get to this meeting. It's a journey. First, you have to enter the gate, the narrow way. Next, you approach the altar, which is a symbol for the self being burned away. And only after that process can you even think about entering the Holy of Holies, that innermost sacred place.
And the text gives us the exact GPS coordinates for this divine meeting. It's not just somewhere in the Holy of Holies. No, it's very specific. It's between the two cherubim on the mercy seat. And what is the mercy seat? It's the lid. Wait for it, the covering of the Ark of the Covenant.
Okay, we've got a theme going here, right? A covering of skin that brings blindness, and a meeting place that is itself a covering. So what gives? How do we solve this? Well, the whole point is about opening the covered heart.
This brings us to a word we all think we know, apocalypse. Now, when we hear that word, we immediately think of disaster, destruction, the end of the world, right? But its original Greek meaning, apocalypsis, means the exact opposite. It literally means to uncover, to lift the veil, to reveal what was hidden the whole time.
And this is the absolute crux of it all. The work of Christ is presented as the ultimate apocalypse. It's the divine act of finally removing that spiritual garment of skin, that covering of blindness from our hearts, so that we can finally see and feel and meet God in that most holy place. But who is this message of uncovering actually for? This quote from Isaiah gives us a huge clue. "Who is blind but my servant? Who is deaf like the messenger I sent?" Now notice who he's talking about. He's not talking to outsiders, to people who don't know God. He's talking to the insiders.
And that leads to maybe the most provocative idea in this whole deep dive. The gospel of uncovering isn't primarily for people who are lost out in the dark. It's for the religious people, the servants, the messengers, the ones who are diligently following all the rules but are spiritually blind and don't even know it.
So what happens when that covering is finally removed? When reality is revealed? Well, that's what it means to start living beyond the shadows.
You see, all those religious structures, the laws, the feasts, those appointed times, those moedim, they were never meant to be the final destination. They're described as temporary guides, like tutors or guardians for a child. They were just shadows, pointing toward a reality that was still to come.
And this chart just lays it all out crystal clear. The feasts and the laws, they were the shadow. Christ is the reality. The tutors and guardians, they were for spiritual childhood. Full sonship is the reality. The covering was the problem. The revelation, the apocalypsis, is the solution. It's a total upgrade.
Here's a really simple way to think about it. A farmer lives his life by the calendar of seasons, right? He has to know when to plant, when to water, when to wait. But once the harvest is finally done and all the grain is safe in the barn, he doesn't need the calendar anymore. Its purpose is fulfilled. He's not staring at the schedule, he's enjoying the result.
So, all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. If this interpretation is right, if the shadows have served their purpose and the true reality has been revealed, then the question we have to ask ourselves is this: are we still living our lives by the calendar? Or are we living in the light of the harvest?